Now that we've chosen a model to print on our 3D printer, it's important to understand the settings that we can change to obtain the type of print that we are looking for. Your first decision is whether or not your 3D print requires a raft. The sample print shown here was printed with a raft. Rafts are slightly larger than the base of the print and help the print stick to the printing bed during printing and help prevent peeling. Once printing is complete, the raft is easily removed from your print either with your bare hands or using a tool such as a flathead screwdriver. You may decide that prints with a large, flat base at the bottom of the print do not require a raft to save time and filament. This option can easily be toggled on and off before sending any print job to your 3D printer. The next decision is whether or not your 3D print requires support. Support helps for prints that have overhanging edges or areas where the extruder would not be able to print onto a solid surface, affecting the overall quality of your finished print. Here is an example of a print that was created with no support. The result is poor quality in overhanging areas where the extruder had no solid surface on which to print. Now let's take a look at the same print with supports added. Once the supports are removed, you should have clean edges even on overhanging areas of the print. You'll also need to choose an infill percentage for each of your 3D prints. The default is 5%. Infill percentage describes how hollow or solid the inside of your 3D print is. Look at the 6 prints shown here to help you understand the various levels of infill percentage. The very first print is 0% infill, which is a hollow print. From left to right, the prints are 0%, 5%, 10%, 20%, 50%, and finally 100% infill. 100% infill is a solid plastic piece of your print, which I might add uses an awful lot of filament. You can customize the infill percentage based on the strength that your model will need. Typically, models that are just for decoration or won't bear weight really don't need anything more than 5 or 10% infill. Anything more is going to waste your filament and make your print times much longer. The last setting that you may wish to make changes to, depending on what type of model you're printing, is the number of shells. Typically this number will be 2 by default, and you won't need to change this for most of your prints. You can see from these 3 example prints using 1, 2, and 5 shells respectively, the difference in the outer edge depending on how many shells you've chosen for your specific print. There are several other settings that you may one day want to experiment with, such as changing the extruder temperature, using different materials, or changing your extruder type. But for the most part, your raft, support, infill percentage, and your number of shells are going to be the 4 main settings that you may want to change depending on the specific needs of your 3D printing job.